I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message.
Sounds like Vegas.
What's going on, y'all? You're back. I want to thank you if you're tuning in. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. I want to thank you, Jake, for coming on. I actually don't think I've had this many listeners on before, so it just seems to get better and better. And to the Ron Paul people out there, we're going to keep it going and do everything we can to get Ron Paul president. And I just want to say to you guys that are listening, don't forget that I am on every day, Monday through Friday, 10 to noon Eastern time and 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you check me out. And you guys can get this interview, if you scroll down on ronpaulradio.com on the podcast, and you guys can spread that, share it, get the word out there. Some good information that we're getting here from Jake. So we got some more questions that people are giving me while we're in a commercial. Let's see here. One, I wanted to ask you, if anybody wanted to get in contact with you, because you're definitely a great help, how can they reach you? What's the best place to get in contact with you?
Definitely, you can friend me on Facebook. That'd be a great way to do it. And also, you can email me at Jake, N-B-A, that's Jakeinba, at gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. So you guys get in contact with him. And see here, someone posted on here that they should have made the guests leave. Was that an issue? You guys had too many guests there?
Yeah, when they're, basically turning down any calls for counted votes or roll call votes and only taking votes on voice, it's very important that the guests are not in the same floor. In fact, our convention rules strictly prohibited guests from being on the convention floor, and that point was called several times, and the chair, in order to, compromise with these guests, only told them to go to the back of the room, which I would think is improper, because their voices can still be heard when you're calling for a voice vote, and very hard to determine if they're actually indicating aye or nay on a motion.
Exactly. So it could go one way when really it should have went the other.
Yes.
Okay. Someone wanted to know, do you think they need an updated version of Robert's Rules, or does it matter? I guess there's a newer version. I don't know.
Robert's Rules, you should always have the latest version. They may come out with one every couple of years, but because by default most forms that follow Robert's Rules as parliamentary rule require the newly revised or latest version. So, yeah, you want to stay up on it and see what the changes are from the previous work, because that affects the actual applicability of any rules that you try to cite, is whether or not they're in the latest version.
Would you say, based off when you were studying, would you say Robert's Rules is pretty tough to learn, or did it come along pretty easy, or how was it?
I think it can be pretty easy because the way it's written, there are contents, index, and then there's summary. So also Robert's Rules applies to several different instances. Now, in the period we're in, taking this to conventions and stuff like that, that's one specific section. And we actually experienced that where at our first congressional district convention, they tried to cite some Robert's Rules for mass meetings, which is completely different than conventions, because at a mass meeting, it's only, those people that just showed up to the mass meeting or whatever. It's not a permanent organization that has a permanent roll of members, like the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, even though there's a lot of pages, a lot of sections, only a couple of sections may be applicable to what you're dealing with at the time. But, definitely it's pretty easy to study, because they've got it laid out so well. It's been around for over 100 years, and they have a good flow to it. So.
Okay. Now, someone also posted this question, and I have one after this one. Anything that could have been done differently or maybe even better once you guys were out in the parking lot?
Sure. I think there's always room for improvement. I think we could have planned better for that contingency and had certain logistics prepared in advance. But it's a pretty small contingency. This shouldn't happen a lot because they should really follow the rules and parliamentary rules, allowing all sides, including the minority, like I said, to be protected. And that includes, like, when you adjourn, you should pause and wait for any parliamentary challenges to adjournment, including division, appeals to the chair, counted division, so that apportionment can be determined. So if the rules are followed, this normally wouldn't have to happen. But I think you should be prepared for the worst. Have sound and light as it got dark on us, we were ingenuitive and had flashlights and cell phones there to illuminate what we were doing. But, if you had some lights and some sound in advance ready to go in case of that, because we are seeing this over and over again, forced adjournments and early adjournments.
So, I mean, just to tell everybody real quick, how was the energy? Just how was it just to be in the midst of all those Ron Paul supporters, to be there so late when you guys already got there early, and to still be fighting for freedom and your rights, and then to see that the world is watching you? Like, just tell everyone how that felt for you.
Yeah, I think it was amazing. It's definitely energizing, and it'll definitely let you redouble your efforts and your motivation to the cause. But to be honest, I didn't even get tired until midnight that night. So I was so wound up from the whole thing that I was ready to go. So at midnight though, I think it'll all hit you when your adrenaline's finally gone and you'll be ready to go to bed. But
well, let me ask you this. Do you feel that the local news media gave you guys fair coverage? I know you saw your piece when you was on there, and then I don't know if you saw the one where they were talking about someone getting punched. What do you think about the media coverage that you got locally? Obviously, we know about national media, but can you hear me? All right, hold on 1 second, y'all. His line just cut off, so let's get him back on.
hello.
Hey, you there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened, but if it was my fault, I apologize. I don't think I did anything, but I'm not sure. We be having who knows what's going on. But I was asking you, what do you think about the local news coverage that you got? The one that you were on, and then also there was another piece, if you saw it, where they were talking about Romney supporters punching Ron Paul supporters. How do you feel about the local coverage?
Well, concerning the live interview I did, I thought it went off pretty good from our perspective. However, looking at it afterwards, the anchor definitely had a different interpretation of what was going on at the time. He announced that we had just after the convention was over, we just had a rally, basically. But no, I was pretty, quick to point out in my interview that it was a continuation of the convention and that we had business to take care of that was not taken care of inside.
And so just so people know, how many media outlets actually came to you guys to actually, do interviews and report?
I believe there was a minimum of the 2 local news stations, Channel 4 and Channel 9. But there were some other independent writers there, and I think there was a writer from the Oklahoman, which is the daily newspaper out of Oklahoma City. And so they did write-ups, based on that later. And so I'm not sure the exact number of print and broadcast media, but just the local news was the 2 stations.
Okay. And did you happen to see anything about the commotion with someone getting punched? Were you anywhere around that? Did you notice anything like that?
When it did occur, I was on the other side of the convention hall, but I did make my way over, and I did capture some video, which yet to be uploaded, but of just the ensuing aftermath, I guess you could say. So I've got some of that on video, and that was also right in the middle of a speech against the state executive committee slate of delegates. So they captured it as well but I wasn't around for the other incident.
Okay. But so you didn't actually see no one get hit, though? You just saw the commotion afterwards?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And now, is it true that there are other Ron Paul supporters out there that did, in fact, see it? Are there some that are saying, I saw it, it definitely happened? Yeah,
there's definitely some witnesses. I don't know if there's any available video showing it. I don't think anybody's found that yet. But there's definitely witnesses to it.
Wow. I mean, this is crazy. So I'm pretty sure, is everybody shocked at what's going on, or did you guys kind of expect, this is what happens, we're Ron Paul supporters, this is what we get?
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole convention was prefaced with certain, innuendo and smear pieces on the Ron Paul movement, prior to. So there was a huge push by those in the party that would like to shut us out, to actually shut us out at the convention, threatening that, the future of their party is at stake and stuff like that. Well, we didn't have any of those smear pieces against them going in. So, it was kind of to be expected at that point. I think that there was going to be some hatred and vitriol, thrown at us. But we did good, and I do applaud all those that got involved in any of these altercations.
That's right. We're about to head to a break. We'll finish that when we get back.